Okay, muckers, we have got to get to Hasan covering the QT Cinderella situation. This has been sent to me so much, and I'm a little bit intrigued as to why. Because Hasan normally is someone that like people don't send me things to like react to or watch. So I'm a little bit curious as to what we're going to be getting into here. And again, we're live right now, so this is going to be like an off the cuff reaction and diving into it. As you know, we have extensively covered the QT Cinderella situation. And actually, one thing I'm really surprised at is I saw that the Vanilla Mace subreddit had posted about my video, and they were like, it's so great seeing a creator be like bravely speaking out against QT Cinderella about me. And then I was like, oh, like I've been so confident in my opinion and like really doubling down on like, I think like QT, you know, is just was really, really, really ignorant and arrogant for what she was saying and got such a bad take. And then I was like, wait, is that not the popular take? Like, is that not the popular take? QT's still doubling down. I'm seeing people be like, oh my God, love seeing a creator be so brave. And they're like supporting me. They're like, love seeing a creator not be scared to speak out against QT. And I'm like, number one, I don't care about the politics of it all. And by the politics, I mean the YouTube politics of like, if a creator is, you know, so adored or they have a lot of friends that you don't call them out on things. That's what I mean by the politics. I don't care about that. I see a situation for what it is, and I just deeply find problems with it. And also, people made a great point. I was basically saying, like, why is Vanilla Mace getting more backlash for what QT Cinderella did? And then people were like, well, when people like Vanilla Mace have, you know, progressive audiences, they're held to a higher standard because obviously you want to, you know, make it known to your audience where you stand. And then I was like, oh, that actually does make sense. Like, of course, Vanilla Mace is probably going to get more backlash, even though I don't agree with that necessarily because QT is the one that said this, because Vanilla Mace's audience hold her to a higher standard than probably QT Cinderella's audience hold hers. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I did see, Adam, did you see where she was like, Vanilla's Reddit is attacking me, mine isn't attacking her, and her Reddit hasn't been active in 2 years? Her approach with all of this is weird as fuck, and that's why I was so surprised that people were acting like I was like going against the grain by calling her out. Again, I don't watch other people's videos, but jeepers Christ, I think people just don't want to talk about her and calling her out anyway, but my God, I couldn't not when I watched it. It's because QT's friends are holding her to that standard. I guess so. Also, before we get in, please consider subscribing. If you're not, I know a lot of people that watch my videos who, you know, watch all the time, just get recommended and they're not actually subscribed. We are getting so close. I know, I don't understand why I say Jeepers Christ these days. We're getting so close to 500K. If you see that button and it's not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And also, my Patreon deal worked out so well that I've done a new one. It is now code YouTubeMucker for 30% off my Patreon. And if anyone is subscribed to my Patreon, by the way, I don't do a lot of sponsorships, so this is like a big support of allowing me to continue doing my job. But basically, we are now into our November videos, which means that we are going to be reacting to the Michael Weiss Tanacon documentary, Season 4 of Escape the Night, and also the Ruby Frankie documentary, Devil in My Family. They're going to be our November videos. But if you need to catch up and you get the Patreon and use the code YouTubeMucker for 30% off, you will get access to our previous series, which was reacting to Trisha Paytas's Big Broadway Dream, Escape the Night Season 1 reaction, Season 2 reaction, Season 3 reaction, and Beast Game Season 1 reaction. And again, they are just our series. We have done a lot of other videos as well. But anyways, let's get to Hasan reacting to the QT Cinderella situation.
Are you going to cover the QT situation because she's getting a lot of hate right now? He already did. No, I didn't. I'm not entirely aware of what has taken place with QT Cinderella. I've only seen a couple tweets and
I'm not going to change, though. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I will never believe that if I'm kind to a hateful person, that means I agree with them. I will never believe that, no matter what.
When she is giving more grace to the bigots in her life than the people that are facing harassment because of them. What the hell, sure.
You guys say, I won't believe it, because at the end of the day, if I'm around a racist person, I'm just not racist. I'm not. Me, I am not. They are, yes. But how?
I personally wouldn't want to surround myself with people that are racist. And I also saw something that was really interesting. Someone commented and was like, if you're at a table with 9 racist people, then there's 10 racist people at the table, because why are you allowing those people to be like that and want them to be in your life? And I thought, wow, damn.
How am I supposed to help them ever? By cutting them off? No.
I would cut racists out of my life.
Like, I get it. You guys can think in black and white, but that's not how it works over here.
Not black and
That's
white.
not how it works for me.
Someone who's never felt with like, or who has never dealt with fucking like real life situations, like the people, like the bigots in her life that she's acknowledging act like this, what they put other people through, like the most privileged take ever.
It's not comfortable.
This is my perfect example. It's like,
Also, yeah, I literally have I've cut really problematic people out of my life just from not agreeing with them. That's a very normal human thing to do, by the way. It's not something we should be praising someone for, but when they're actively telling us that they won't cut those people out,
like, okay, I collab with Lacey. Lacey makes some homophobic jokes sometimes that I am not comfortable with the homophobic jokes Lacey has made. Lacey knows that he can't make those jokes around me. That does not mean that I am homophobic. Believe it or not, everybody.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
you are not who you associate with. Like, shut up. You're like,
I'm sorry, but I completely disagree fundamentally with every part of that statement. She just said you're not who you surround yourself with. Yes, you are. You are exactly who you surround yourself with. What the fuck?
you don't build bridges by burning them.
Can you imagine being like, yeah, this person in my life is racist, but they're not racist around me. So like, I know they are racist around other people though, but like,
That's not how it works. Like, I've heard what a lot of people are saying, and I am sorry for the hurt that I've caused people. I'm really sorry. Like, again, if you don't want this apology, then it's not for you. And clearly you're not hurt, but I'm apologizing to people that I've hurt, and that's important to me. So if you're a part of the queer community and I've hurt you, I am sorry. If you are a person of color who I have hurt, I am sorry. I am. I really am. I think.
and listen, I think when someone apologizes, it's important to hear them out. But also, I think it's kind of undermined saying you're sorry for upsetting people within these communities or people of color or queer people or whatever. When you're actively saying that you are surrounding yourself with, but that doesn't, affect you, you're not who you surround yourself with, but that you do surround yourself with people that you do know are racist or make homophobic jokes or make racist jokes, you know what I mean? But they don't do it around you, so it's fine. So why would you apologize to the communities and then, like, no one wanted this information out of her. She literally forth came with this information herself. That's why, by the way, I'm going so fucking hard on her. This isn't just something she has been exposed for, because yeah, if she was doing this privately, I have an issue with it. But the fact that she was so bravely fucking just randomly said this on a stream, yeah, I'm gonna come for you.
I was wording things was very irresponsible and wrong, and I'm sorry.
I think as societal conditions worsen, people tend to look at imperfect allies and whatever their take is, no matter how bad it might be, right? People tend to look at imperfect allies as like the main enemy. I'm not one of those people. I never will be one of those people. Maybe because it's my privilege of being a white man, but I'm always going to be broadly understanding of people's back.
Okay, I disagree. I think I'm probably gonna disagree with him. I don't understand what he's saying here. We focus on the imperfect allies instead of the situation at hand. That's such a stupid opinion. That's such a stupid opinion. Oh my god, that's so stupid. That is such a stupid thing to say. We tend to focus on imperfect allies instead of the situation at hand. What a stupid take. What a stupid take.
Background and some of the things that they say that come across as not so great, or especially in a moment of panic, if they feel like the pressure is on and then they end up ballooning into a much larger issue. White man and rich, yeah.
They feel under pressure. Is he talking about her saying all this? Because she just decided to say this off of her own, literally free will on a live stream when they were waiting for a game to download.
I mean, you already know I'm the enemy. I'm an LGBTQ foe, as I openly declare all the time. Bro, you're blaming society for QT's words? Well, one, I don't even know what she said. Well, I know QT. I've said this before, but sometimes otherwise good people can come across very poorly. And I think the same level of charity and grace that we would offer people that we know personally, we
Oh, this is terrible. Oh, this is just terrible.
often don't offer to people behind a camera. And the reality of the matter is the immediate pushback also causes people who are not ready for any sort of pushback whatsoever and treat it as hostile, will cause them to double down and make mistakes or come across really poorly. But ultimately, I usually
Come across poorly. She actively said that she is aware that people in her life, make jokes about gays or are racist, or she has people in her life that are transphobic, whatever, but that doesn't mean that she is. And she also won't cut them off because don't treat people bad. Love everyone or whatever. Her hating on someone won't make them love or whatever she said. This is stupid. This is stupid.
try to look at everything that a person is doing. It's objectively very difficult for me to look at Twitch streamers, or at least like Twitch streamers like QT Cinderella, or even streamers like the FaZe Clan boys, as major ops or major hurdles against like queer liberation, black.
Why does this have to be that they're not affecting queer liberation? Or, why can it not be that someone just gets called out for saying something incredibly fucking ignorant? This is so stupid.
Liberation, and the overall liberation of all peoples, when there are much more important targets.
Just because there's more important things. Oh my God, Hasan, this is so fucking stupid. I hate more than anything when someone distracts from a situation by saying that there's a bigger situation going on. That is so fucking annoying. It's so fucking annoying because if we go about life like that, we will always find a situation bigger than the one that you want to focus on. We will always be able to find a situation that is bigger than the one you want to focus on. You know what I mean? You focus on something in the government. Oh, well, let's not focus on that because this is also happening in the government. Well, why should we focus on that in the government? Because this is also happening in the government. Well, this is objectively worse than that. And then someone else is like, well, in my objective opinion, this is worse. Oh, well, we shouldn't be focusing on these things then because this one. But then this person disagrees. What the fuck of a kind of stupid take is that? This is dumb as fuck.
Out there that get no scrutiny whatsoever because they're not in the ally adjacent territory. And
okay, so they're held to a higher standard because their communities are the people that they're saying that they have no problem associating with people who fucking hate those kind of people. What is so hard to understand about that? And also, just such a great point. It is not shocking of a concept for people to be able to focus on multiple things at once. This is something I have such an issue with, and I've seen this time and time again with making the kind of content that I make, which people will be like, why are you making a video on that when you should be making a video on this? And I'm like, well, I have also made a video on that, and I'm allowed to make a video on this because I can focus on multiple fucking things at the same fucking time. Isn't she on Hasan's podcast? Is she? I literally don't watch Hasan's content. People love to say that I'm up Hasan's ass because I have such negative opinions of Ethan Klein. But again, once people realize that fucking not everything is literally... I don't care for Ethan. I don't care for Hasan. You know what I mean? He has a podcast with her. She's on Fear and... Is that the name of the podcast? Or have you just not... Fear and? They have a podcast with two other people. Okay, well, that explains it there. You never want to speak out against someone who, if you speak out against them, it affects your fucking bag. And Austin. I know Austin. I don't know him personally, but he randomly followed me one time on Instagram whenever I was in WeHo, and I was like, the streets are telling the truth about him. But I really hate that idea that you just can't focus, you can't focus on multiple things at once. Oh, Lord. All right.
And it's also doubly silly when I consider my own position, someone who is someone whose ops are in the American government, you know, someone who's trying to do the right thing every day, combating this administration's fascist policies, it comes across as like very narrow in its focus. I don't think every single person is a secret fascist, and I also don't think that it's a healthy attitude to hold. I do, however, think that it's difficult to get people on board with stuff.
Is this so stupid? He's basically saying like, well, we should be focusing on the government rather than people like QT. I mean, people should be allowed to have an opinion and call people out or support people or not support people when they realize that they probably don't agree with them morally. That's just not a wild concept to me. This is very frustrating.
Especially when the easiest type of jokes that you can do is often targeting those who are vulnerable and marginalized. And a lot of people lean into that. So I perhaps give even more grace to those who don't always lean into that when they could easily do that with not only no repercussions whatsoever, but with promotion associated with it. Because in this day and age, I feel like if you're going to be, anti-queer, anti-immigrant, racist, white supremacist, there is a avenue for that sort of behavior.
Okay, so just... I'm so, like, it's so stupid to me that Hasan is saying this. He literally is basically saying that, like, it's stupid for people to be focusing on QT Cinderella because, you know, we have entire, like, avenues now where people are able to grift and make money off of being anti-immigrants, racist, homophobic, all the rest. Okay, Hasan, what you're not realizing is if you put your hands up and give up, then what? Everyone is allowed to grift to that side? If no one gets called out for having these people in their lives, then these people think it's just so normal to act like this. And then what? Couple of years down the line, we're in full-blown fucking, like, right-wing fascism, racism, anti-gays. Like, this is stupid. This is stupid.
There's quite literally an avenue for that. Like, you can gain more prominence if you become openly reactionary. This isn't even about QT, by the way. I don't know. It's very unproductive to grift to the left, quote unquote grift to the left. Watch QT's VOD if you want an in-depth apology. She apologized for it.
What the fuck, dude? I really don't like this. Talking about unproductive.
Remember, this doesn't mean that QT Cinderella nor anyone is actually infallible or above accountability or they're perfect. This is a reflection of the human condition, that we are all imperfect, that we all make mistakes. And sometimes...
Oh my God. This is crazy. Just because he's her friend, this is a situation where he's like, oh, we should be focusing on the fact that we're all imperfect. Really? Really?
Or all the time, we don't want to acknowledge that we made mistakes. Sometimes we can't see it because we're blinded by our own privilege. And another...
Why is this about us now? Oh my God. Why is this about us now?
For instances, even if we can't...
This is why racism and homophobia, like, isn't that... Complacency and just being, like, putting your hands up. Oh my God.
See it. It takes a while to get on board, especially if the broader attitude in the space is these wokes. They're unbearable. This is something that I warned about quite a bit. Like people literally look at us and my community in spite of my attempts to constantly try to dial back, endlessly going after everyone over perceived slights or major slights that are
perceived or major slights. His friend was literally saying that she is aware that people in her life are, say transphobic things, are racist or homophobic, whatever like this, but they don't act like that around her, but she knows that they do act like it. But, you know, if she was to just hate on them or drop them, well, that's unproductive. What is he saying?
Are valid, but making a much larger...
This is so stupid. And bringing up the argument of, like, this is what they're saying about the woke mob. Like, it just, this is so disappointing.
Ordeal out of it. You're missing the point. I'm already, if they don't like us, it's not our job to get them to like us. What are you talking about? No, you're wrong. Your take is her take, Lamau. They about to fry your ass. Oh, McG, I hate this drama. No, that has always been my job. No, that's you've completely missed the point. As a 19-month subscriber, if you think that that's not my job, why do you think I spend so much time talking about Zohran Mamdani, constantly having to navigate between talking about the Islamophobic attacks that he's receiving and then refusing to actually address it? Because if he were to constantly talk about that, then he would come across as a spoiler. Sometimes you have to eat it. I do it every day. I'm just sick of these people and how we have to be nice. How about we say f them? Well, the problem is, I understand that. The problem is, if you say that, then we can't win them over.
Oh my God. Yeah, I agree with you. The way the word woke gets used, and it really pisses me off. But I'm sorry, I agree with you. I would rather be classified as too woke than a fucking bigot or a fucking racist or a fucking transphobe or a fucking homophobe. Like,
and if you want to make changes, you got to win them over, especially those in the margins. I would present the impact that even QT Cinderella has had in a very positive manner with the likes of Jason the Ween, someone that you guys actually enjoy. Jason the Ween has an incredibly tolerant community, especially in comparison to the vibes and the overall attitudes that many have in that demographic. We were just talking about the alt-right. We were just talking about the far-right manosphere pipeline just a second ago. They'll always win if we keep up this mentality. That's the unfortunate reality. They don't have these sorts of hangups. They don't need to have these sorts of hangups because there is no protection.
this feels so performative to me. This feels so performative. You're talking about the impact of trying to like persuade the audience and the way the social media aspect is moving rather than what you would rather do in your own fucking life. I'm sorry, I would much rather care about not fucking surrounding myself with racist people than whatever's popular or the grifting mode on social media. What the fuck?
That is required for any of the marginalized people. So it's a much easier ground for them to stand on to constantly refill their numbers, to constantly bring on more people onto their side. Whereas those of us who are on the left have a much more difficult undertaking. Privilege ass take, I love you, but be for real. It's also entirely dependent on the severity of the gripe. Like, I'm not in here being like, yeah, immediately have someone like hang out with someone who is being a Nazi or some shit. Don't be ridiculous. Or hang out with someone who's like dropping the T slur or talking about how trans people are disgusting or gross or some shit like that. That's not my point at all. But I think a lot of you immediately take it to that level, and it's understandable because that is what you have experienced in your life. As a black person, I'm tired of trying to convince Freeze to be right. I'm more about action now. Like, we need the Black Panthers back. I don't disagree with you on that. It's actually, I should have established the boundaries. Now, obviously, they can change, but it's kind of like how we do the moderation in this community, right? Where there are certain things that go beyond a minor slight.
It's
there are
annoying
certain
me
things
so
that go
much.
beyond minor slights. I've always operated under
Throwing marginalized people under the bus to pander toward. Yeah. That's
the
what it comes across as to
assumption,
me.
or not the assumption, but operated off of the analysis that everyone is susceptible to social conditioning, and therefore people are products of said social conditioning. So if we as leftists understand that we live in a white supremacist, patriarchal, anti-queer society,
Oh my God.
then the people are going to reflect those values. And obviously, the goal should be to...
Why is the responsibility on us to be tolerant of it? I disagree completely with this. Oh my God.
to get them to stop believing in these things, right? Stop.
So basically, we just have to like take it until they learn not to do it. But also QT was basically saying like, I'll never fight these people with hate because that's unproductive.
Reflecting on those values. Everyone goes on a different journey. Sometimes you have that kid that we just watched on The Guardian talk about how he went on his own personal journey and was luckily snapped out of the manosphere black pill incel pipeline. Others are not so lucky. So my goal is to try.
So how will change ever be made if the leftist people, basically the people who just don't want transphobes and racist people, have to just be tolerant of it? That sounds very, very, very productive, Hasan. That sounds very productive.
Try and use the privilege that I have to try and pull people that are in the margins, that are about to make a big leap in the rightward
So basically, we just have to wait our turn.
direction, back to our side.
You're misunderstanding him. I think I'm understanding him clearly here. I really do. I really do.
And develop a better understanding. And I think the only way that I can do that, or the way that I've done so successfully over the last couple of years, is not by coddling racists or coddling bigoted people and bigoted opinions, but by showing people that...
Yeah, because these people are always the most rational people. Yeah, these people are always the most rational people, yeah.
Those who are right-wing, who hyper-focus on marginalized...
I'm just sick of people literally, like, the word here isn't pandering, but just like almost like infantilizing people just being bigots.
communities and make a mockery.
He's saying kindness, not tolerance, gives us a better chance of reforming these people. These people being the most hateful people of all time. These people being the most hateful people of all time. So what, marginalized groups of people just have to basically be so kind while their lives are being threatened by these people who are not going to change because they're the most hateful people in the entire world?
Of them are actually strange. They're weird. They're obsessed.
Why should
it's
we
the
be
same
kind quick?
social pressure dynamic that I was talking about. I think that's a better way to deal with it. It's a better way to deal with it than to immediately clamp on people.
Why should we ask marginalized people to be kind while they suffer abuse? That part.
Because in many circumstances, due to the same dynamic that I explained, systemic factors at play, and the social conditioning that comes along with it, many people don't even realize that they
Neither kindness nor tolerance will change someone's mind.
are
literally.
engaging in oftentimes
In a perfect
dangerous
world.
rhetoric.
In a perfect world, yeah. But my God, I've never had to fucking deal with racism, clearly. But the fact of me, as someone who has never experienced racism, if I'm just going to be like expecting people who deal with racism to just be kind until the fucking hateful people, you know what happens to these hateful people? They don't just change their opinions because of kindness or tolerance. They continue to fucking reproduce and teach those things, and that's what continues and continues and continues. And the rise in fucking conservatism, the rise in racism, the rise in anti-queerness, the rise in the reason that we're about to see fucking gay marriage overturned in the US and stuff like this is that kindness and tolerance. So miss me with that bullshit. Miss me with that bullshit.
Or dehumanizing rhetoric. They just think like, oh, this is just a joke. What's the problem? My point is, not everyone that tries to make a joke, sometimes even a cruel one, is objectively a fascist. But if we check them and say, hey man, that's kind of, why are you saying this? Especially after developing social capital with those people. In my experience, that's a much more...
He's also referencing QT, by the way, who said that she wasn't really challenging these people, if I remember correctly. It's just kind of that they don't do it around her, and, you know, that's that.
Successful way, coming across not like a hall monitor, but instead as someone who can be more productive in changing their minds. Now, of course, as I always say, this is not something that I expect from people who are directly being marginalized in that moment. And I do understand why people get mad. I understand it. That can be their first step to finding them. Yeah, exactly. I think these broader initiatives of having normal relationships with people who are not like outwardly political content creators, for example, can also help many find communities like this one. It's been very effective. And it's been especially effective. If it wasn't, then the right wing and these like dip, incel, racist, transphobic people wouldn't be actively trying to make me into a toxic person that is irredeemable and even go after my friends who have nothing to do with politics at all. They do that.
So those are the kind of people that we just treat with kindness?
So that I am isolated in general, because they realize that if I'm not isolated and I have normal relationships with these other communities, then their fan bases will be much more charitable to my worldview. And God forbid, maybe even change their perspective. QT's problem is unrelated to you. Yeah, I mean, I'm not very familiar with what happened. I'm just talking about my own principles that I oftentimes repeat to an audience that doesn't want to hear it. That's not true, actually. Many of you do want to hear it. Some of you even recognize that you took advantage of that charitable tone that I took on for whatever perceived bigotry that you exhibited, and therefore became who you are now. I'll always point to Speed's growth and why I always present Speed as like a wonderful example of growth in general, even though the odds were absolutely stacked against that. And I'll always present someone like Jason, for example, as a great alternative. People that aren't expressly political at all. The type of content creators that are seen as apolitical. And yet, they're much more tolerant. These guys could just as easily been Aiden Ross adjacent content.
So now we're like, oh my God, we are in this stage of life where we are literally just like praising people for not just like spewing. Oh my, all right, wrap it up. Wrap it up. I can't. I really can't. I feel like the phrase discomfort isn't abuse is important here. It's uncomfortable educating dumbasses who have good intentions, but it's necessary for allies, those with the emotional energy to do so. Right. I think this is. I just don't know if Hasan would be having this take if this wasn't like someone that he like actively works with and like is a friend. And I'm just really, really, really worried about the fact that Hasan is seen as one of the most like leftist, you know, like progressive streamers. And we even have him now basically with this ideology of like, well, we actually got to be kind and tolerant of these people because that's the only way of possibly being the word, educating them. Not good. Not good. Not good. And we will leave it there for now.